Well, g'day everyone, it's the start of a new week and the start of my first week working full-time on the van for a full week. I had a few days last week. Okay, I think I have cracked this. So I opened the dish up again, obviously, so that I could do some more testing and metering out of power and everything. And the issue that I was having with the PoE and the dish not booting appears to come down to this. I was using an old train set transformer that I had. I've had this, my dad bought it. Hi Dad. My dad bought this when I was a child. So I've had it for a long time. Anyway, I think that the power that it was supplying is just not clean enough. So even though the PoE appeared to be putting out the a bit over 48 volts that it's supposed to put out, and when I metered it at the dish here, it was showing the voltage that it should be. Everything seemed okay, but the dish just wasn't booting. Anyway, this thought came through my head that maybe it was this power supply. So I went and grabbed one of the batteries for the van, and I've connected that up to the PoE, and voltage is exactly the same as it was showing metering from the little power supply, but as soon as I plugged it back in again to the dish, I heard the dish start trying to boot. So I've done the termination of the cable on the roof and connected everything up, and as you can see I chucked the battery and the travel router and the PoE and everything in here and tested it, and now I've got the Starlink router in here. I may end up hacking the Starlink router to run off of 12 volt and a 48 volt buck converter. The speeds I'm getting with the travel router are terrible. I'm not sure why that is. Others have seen good results using the same equipment. I may need to do some more research into that, but with the Starlink router in place, I'm getting really good speeds. Anyway, I can't afford to spend any more time on that. At this point, I need to get on with the work in here and get this van converted. So that's going to be it for the Starlink for now. G'day, it's a new day, time for working on these back doors. So what I'm planning on doing is creating a valance across the back here by fixing a board which lines up with the bottom of these ones on each side and comes straight across and just kind of hides this ugly stuff here, and then a little filler piece above that just to trim it out, and then clad the doors. What I'm going to do with the back doors to make sure that the boards line up is the first board I'm going to actually screw on in one piece right across both doors, so that locates the position of the board on the doors, and then I can cut it, and then after that I can just do them in individual pieces. finishing the window reasonably well above the bottom of the actual window, because if I brought it right down it would be quite close to the bed. The mattress is probably going to come to here somewhere. So when I put these boards in and set this line down here, I actually set it a little bit too far forward, and so part of the frame of the van sticks out past, which meant that when I was shaping this piece of wood to put on here, I was getting a gap here because the piece of wood couldn't get right over to there. So I had to route a bit of a groove in so that it will come in and sit nicely. It doesn't have to sit completely hard, but that gap there is okay because there's going to be a face piece that goes over the top. Daylight savings is great, but it still gets dark eventually. I'm gonna finish this and then call it a day. I've done about 12 hours today. I'm pretty pleased with that, pretty pleased with the progress today. Well, it's a new day. Beautiful blue skies, lovely weather to start the day. It's a bit chilly. The goal for today is to complete the lining to frame around these rear windows, finish framing around the other end of the bed, and to finish off this wall area here. What I've got here is a pattern that I've made to cut the curve on the piece of wood. So this sits in against the wall and it's scribed. Each one is slightly different, so what I've done is put it in place and then given myself a mark. So plus 57 means that I need 57 more mils of timber out here. Top end here, this one's got plus 46. So I've allowed some extra, so I've got extra room because the curve isn't exactly the same on each one. So that allows me a little bit of extra timber to be able to scribe it to fit properly. So now I've marked out this line and I'll cut that out, and then I can go and test fit it and finesse it doing any minor tweaks that it needs to get it to fit. And then once the back end fits, I can scribe the outer side and cut that as well. So on this first attempt, it's not going to fit because I've intentionally made it a little bit too big so that I can then trim it to fit. So you can see that there's a gaff down here. Curve's not too bad so far. So I just need to scribe this. So I've just been back and forth to the miter saw a few times to take off another smidgy, just a little bit at a time, sneaking up on the fit. It's pretty close. This gap is okay. Right. Just scribe it and then trim it with the planer just to clean it up a little bit, but probably be alright even as it is. So I was just taking 1/4 of a millimetre per pass with the planer, sneaking up on that line that I'd scribed, and that's a pretty good fit now. Very nice. I've just been kind of batching out parts for these two window frames. They're near enough the same that I've been able to make them all at the same time. The windows are curved in the horizontal plane, so top and bottom pieces had to be curved to match the window. And then cut my stiles, so rails, stiles. So I haven't test fitted them since I've just finished cutting the stiles just now. So I think I should be pretty much ready to assemble the frame and install them. The plan is to use some foam tape on the back edge, so that rather than have wood against the glass, the foam tape will sit against the glass. So I actually need to, just looking at this, I'll remove, just shave another couple of millimeters off my stiles. I suspect that I'll have to do the same on the other side as well. So I've had one or two people ask me about the match fit dovetail system and how it might come in useful. So here's a situation where I've not done this before, but I need to trim a couple of mils off these. I've got a shaped side, so I don't want to recut that because the shape's right. So I want to take a couple of mil off the straight side. The saw blade on my table saw is 3 millimeters ish thick, so I need a sacrificial fence essentially, so that I can move the fence over and just skim 2 mil off the edge of the board. So the dovetail planks, I've just made up this jig, bit of straight timber that I had laying about, with a couple of dovetails cut in it, like that. And so I can stick that up against the fence, pop a dovetail clamp on there, and one on the other end, clamp my piece of timber to the fence, now that's not going anywhere, gives me something to run my piece of timber against, and I can bring the fence over and adjust until I get 2 mil. Something funky going on there. Hang on a second. What am I doing wrong? I've assembled the first one incorrectly. I'm going to have to take it apart again. Through and through. Well, I said at the beginning of the day that my goal for today was to finish framing out the windows and framing out this overcab cupboard, and this is the last piece of tongue and groove to go in. I've had to cut the back of the groove off this piece to be able to get it in because it couldn't have slotted it in otherwise. But here goes. This is a happy moment. G'day, it's another new day. So this morning what I'm going to work on is a few little bits of trim that need doing. And then I think I'm going to have a helper today, and we're going to get stuck into prepping for paint or finishing the timber in here. But first I need to clean this mess up. This is what I've got left of the tongue and groove board. So I seem to have purchased pretty much the exact right amount. Each day when I come to the end of the day, I have a good clean up, sweep the floor, make sure that I've cleaned up my workspace ready for a new day and to help stop tracking lots of sawdust and stuff inside the house. And I did sweep the floor last night, but clearly I was starting to run out of motivation and I didn't clean up this mess. So you need to get that sorted out first thing. Well, that's better. Now we're ready to make a fresh mess today. Every now and then it misfires.
When you shoot yourself.
No, because when it misfires, the staple doesn't, the thread doesn't come out. Unfortunately, when I'm about to shoot myself, it doesn't misfire. You might be wondering what we're doing with the finishes. Might seem like a strange approach, and this wasn't always the plan, but after I sanded the boards on the back door, one of the back doors the other day, I can't even remember why I sanded it, but it came back to looking like this. It's kind of distressed, weathered look, and I kind of looked at it and went, oh, that'd be quite a cool finish to have in the van. So where this is visible through the main kind of living areas of the van, we've sanded it back, and we're putting a matte varnish on it, so it's properly sealed, but it looks kind of weathered and worn and kind of beachy, I suppose. But where I've painted, that I'm painting with right now is an acrylic enamel, or a water-based enamel. And so the door, the window trims, trims around the doors, areas like you've just seen me painting, which are going to be inside cabinets or the shower roof, they're all painted in this enamel, so that they're a different finish. It's all going to be properly sealed and waterproofed. The matte varnish that we're using is an exterior grade varnish. It's just we're going for a bit of a different look, and then we'll introduce other colours with some of the other furnishings and that sort of thing. So for a floor covering, we've decided that we're going to use a sheet vinyl. We did consider using vinyl plank, clip together vinyl plank, but there can be some issues with using that in a van with the wide temperature swings and all that kind of thing. You can get problems. So we've chosen a sheet vinyl, and so I'm not laying it now, but now before I start framing the bathroom, I'm going to get it kind of laid out and generally cut to shape how it's going to go, so that when there are obstacles in the way, like the bathroom, it'll be much easier to get it in. It doesn't have to be exact, because the only place where it actually will be seen right to the edge is at the doorway. Everywhere else it'll be covered with cabinets, seating, whatever. So at the moment I'm just kind of relieving the tension where it sits over the wheel arches so that I can get it to sit nicely. Alright, I'm just going to cut this for the bathroom wall frame now, and then this can get rolled up and put away again, ready for fitting later on. It's time to move on to framing the bathroom. The reason I need to frame the bathroom is so that I can build the couch, so that I can put the electrical equipment in place and have the Sparky come and do the 240 volt fit off. I want to get that done in the near future. So starting with the bathroom, I'm just laying out where my bottom wall plates are going. So I've taken a line square off the wall here, which is parallel with that join, so that's good. And then I've squared off that to get this line, and I'm just now marking out where the plates will sit. My plan is to line the inside of the shower with this 6mm marine ply. So I'm going to take this piece back out again, now that I've set it up and I know where it's going, and so that I can cut a piece of ply which is going to go in here and slide it into place, because I'll need to cut it to the height, and I'll cut it to a little bit more than the width that I need, and then I can slide it in and scribe it to the wall and scribe it to the roof, and just sneak up on the right dimensions until the piece of ply fits where it needs to fit, and that way I can know that I've got it square off the floor. And then this wall that goes down here will be able to be square, because it will line up with the piece of ply. Alright, well that's a pretty good fit now. So I just need to trim a little bit off this edge. Now that I've got that fitting nicely, I don't want to mess with it anymore. I need to move this edge over, looking at it, about probably 6mm, maybe 8mm. Then I'm going to call it a night. It's been a long week. and I'll come back to it tomorrow. I'll then be able to use this one as a pattern for the one on the other side there. I'll cut it slightly oversized and make the piece that goes on that side will be waterproofed, and then another lining will go over it. So I'll get those boards and I'll transfer the shapes onto those as well. So all the work that I've done to shape this one will pay off, because I'll be able to then transfer those shapes onto the other ones. Alright, it's the second panel shaped. So tight enough finish for what I need, or tight enough fit for what I need. Okay, so now that I've shaped the two end panels, I can start work on actually making the frames, because I've got something to square up to. Taken to using the planer to sneak up on my scribe lines. It's quite good. It gives me a good control. It doesn't chip the edge of the ply out like the skill saw or the jigsaw does. It's doing a good job. This one is, I could probably actually fit it as it is, but there's a bit of a big gap up the top there, which will be inside a cupboard, so it doesn't matter too much, but I've still got 5mm here, so I can trim it up and close this gap up a bit. It's just 3mm ply. It's got a nice finish on it. It's lightweight. It's not desperately expensive. Ticks the boxes. So as I was setting up this back wall, I discovered that these boards come too far forward, and so they push the wall around out of square. And you know, it's only a few millimeters. You could go, well, it doesn't really matter, it's only a few millimeters, but you do that and then the cabinet that goes next to it's got to be out of square as well, and it all snowballs. So although I really don't want to do this, I'm going to run the skill saw up here, and then I'll have to cut some of it by hand, but it's nothing for it. It's got to be right. So, well, that's it for episode 20. Thanks for joining me. It's been a big week, quite a tiring week, a lot of long days trying to get caught up. I didn't get quite as far with the bathroom wall framing as I would have liked today, but there was other things that needed to happen, and Nolly and I took some time out to go out for an ice cream, and you know, that stuff's still important. Building the van might be my full-time gig at the moment, and I'm behind, so I need to work long hours to try and catch up, but there's some more important things in life than building a van or getting caught up with a schedule. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Next week we'll be looking at framing up the couch and electrical components that are going to go under the couch. Possibly have a Sparky coming by to take a look at fitting off the 240 volt stuff. So looking forward to that. Should see more big changes next week. There's been some big changes this week, so that's what we're after. Making progress and getting towards that goal of having the van finished. So thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.